Hey, I'm Nancy Burgess of Nancy Burgess Strategic Marketing, and today I want to talk about something that's slightly off topic. It has to do with your personal branding, and that's a question I often get asked, and it's what about Zoom etiquette? What is the proper way to interact during networking for businesses? So these are business best practices that I want to share with you. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to share this one. There we go. And let's see, let's put me over there too. Here we go. There we go. So today we're talking about 20 quick tips for virtual networking. And the most important thing to know is that it's very much like you would show up in person. So no matter what you're doing, if you're presenting to a client, if you're networking, whatever you're doing for your business purposes, do it like you would do it in person. So what does that mean? It means be on time or early. Don't show up late. Don't jump in the middle of a Zoom call or come late to the Zoom call. Be on time or be early, be 5 minutes early. And especially if you're presenting, be prepared so that you're on early and ready to go. Turn off electronic distractions. Now, hopefully I turned off my Gmail and things like that, so I'm not getting any alerts during this. I believe I did. But you want to turn off your electronic distractions. It would be rude if you were talking to somebody and you were on your phone and scanning through text messages, and you would never do that in an in-person networking setting. Likewise, you don't want to do that when you're on a Zoom call. Turn off your phone, turn off the distractions. If you're tempted to look at it, just turn it off for a little bit. And then keep your camera on. You wouldn't show up to a networking event with a paper bag over your head, right? So this is kind of what it's like to have your camera off. You're like, who is behind there? Who is under there? And why don't they want to be seen? What are they hiding? And good grooming still counts. Ladies, if you wear makeup in public, or if you don't wear a ponytail in public and you do your hair differently, groom yourself like you're coming to an in-person networking event. It's a little startling to see somebody who looks totally different when they do turn on their camera than how you expect to see them. Guys, shave the stubble, groom the beard. Don't have some scraggly pandemic beard that no one wants to look at. Look like you mean business. And that means dressing like you mean business. Don't come in your ball cap. Ball caps, if you were networking at a ballpark, great. If you're not, remove the ball cap. It's just not appropriate for a business setting. You wouldn't show up to a networking event with your ball cap on. So dress like you mean business. And then come alone. If you can, arrange for childcare, arrange that the dog won't be interrupting your video if possible. So you know what's best for how things will work, but no one loves your children as much as you do. Sorry to say, maybe the grandparents, because I'm a grandparent. I know that's true, but come along to your video sessions. And put in your name. Make sure that when you have your little name here, it shows your name. I'm Nancy Burgess, so that's my name. I don't have a spouse's name, a child's name, someone else's name who last used the computer. I'm prepared and it reads like it's my name, just like you would have your name on a name tag, not your child's name or your teenager's name. And then carve out a tidy niche in your home. The whole rest of your home can be chaos, but what you have behind you should look professional. It shouldn't be this kind of a background. This is one I did for my granddaughter's birthday. She was having a llama party. So we did this during the pandemic, and the little blue hat with stars bounces up and down. It's pretty cool. But it is not appropriate for business. Likewise, if you create a virtual background, make sure you're not fading in and out like you look ghostly. Make sure it's the kind of background that actually makes you look present. Also, know how to use the technology, especially if you're presenting. You want to know how to use the technology, how to share, how to get off of share, how to unmute yourself, how to mute yourself, how to change your name. All these things are available online, and you can find those. And now I've been breaking my own rule because I'm looking at the screen and I should be looking at that camera. That camera is actually lower on my screen. So look at the camera when you're talking. And mind introduction limits. If they say 30 to 60 seconds, and some organizations will set a timer, but if you're going to introduce yourself, if they said take 30 seconds, if they said take 60 seconds, keep it short and sweet. No one wants to hear about you. A little about you, but not all about you. You wouldn't come to a networking event and just dominate the conversation, hopefully. And so you don't want to do that online either. And don't dominate the time. If there's comments or different things, don't dominate the time. Take a turn and then let other people speak up or find out what other people think. And don't dominate others. Sometimes I've seen some people who take over a conversation. You know, a business person, businesswoman is running a meeting, and perhaps a man has stepped in and stepped all over her. That is not okay. And so be aware of that. And I know not all men do things like this, but be careful. So don't dominate other people. Give the introverts a chance to speak. They have great ideas. Just because they're not speaking all the time doesn't mean that they're shy or they don't want to speak or they don't have opinions or ideas. They're just thinking things through. Give them a chance. Likewise, lean in. Women, if you don't want to be dominated, make sure that you don't get dominated. And famously someone says, I'm speaking, and that's okay. It's okay. I think women, a lot of times we're a little concerned about looking like not kind or the B word, that kind of thing. But do lean in and don't let people dominate you. So just as others need to be aware not to do that, then I think some women needs to be able to step forward and lean in when they need to. There was a book called Lean In that was all about that. So that's why I called it that. And then mute yourself when you're not talking. No one wants to hear the dog barking. No one wants to hear the doorbell ringing. They don't want to hear your kids watching TV in the background. So go to a quiet space and then mute yourself when you're not talking, because when people are off mute, it oftentimes will show the speaker screen. So if the noise is coming from your computer, then it'll default to you instead of to the person who's actually supposed to be speaking. Another best practice is to unmute yourself before speaking. Don't you wish you had $1 for every single time that somebody said, you're on mute, you're on mute? And likewise, give a person, if you see them kind of leaning forward and looking, they're probably looking to unmute themselves. So do let them know if they're on mute, but also give them a chance to unmute themselves. Some people act a little more quickly than others, but know if you're the one unmuting yourself, know where that button is and be ready to unmute yourself when your turn is coming up for speaking. And then just like you would in person, mind your manners. There was one conversation recently that occurred regarding social distancing, and it got pretty tense right away. So stay away from anything political. Do stay away from foul language if you wouldn't use it in person, and hopefully no one's using that in business, but I know people do. But it's really best practices, and to mind your manners, not to curse and not to use foul language. Also, no one wants to see you eating. Please, if you have to turn off your camera if you can't eat before or after. I'm not eating during this. I'm hungry. It's way past lunchtime. If you need to eat, then if you really haven't had a chance, then turn off your camera, at least while you're chewing and swallowing and when you have food in your mouth. And then you maybe can turn it back on again when off and on so that you can be present. And do be present. Don't be checking your email. That's why we turn off those distractions. And listen. If you were in person, you wouldn't be doing distracted things like checking your email. So do listen. And hey, guys, I'm guilty of all these things myself. And maybe not all of them, but many of them. It's really important. Here's a quote from 500 before Common Era that somebody said, "Be kind. Everyone you know is fighting a hard battle. So don't be too harsh to judge other people and give yourself a break, but do try to engage in best practices for your video conferencing, your Zoom calls, your Zoom etiquette, your virtual networking. It's not going away. Even as we meet more and more in person, there's going to be more and more virtual networking. So do follow these best practices. Thank you. And I'm sure there's quick tips you'd like to add. Feel free to message me or contact me. I'm at Nancy at nancyburgess.net